Let's start off. What is going on here with Prigozhin?
There is never a dull moment with this man. He has been at the head of a brutal and atrocious squad of private mercenaries in Bakhmut, waging the longest and bloodiest chapter in this war around that city. Just a few weeks ago, Prigozhin was sort of bombastically claiming that his forces controlled 80% of the city. Now today we get a dramatic statement from him where he's threatening to pull out those forces from Bakhmut on May 10th. Why? For a lack of support from the military brass, from the military leadership in Moscow. And the video that he had posted previously on a Telegram account basically is, as you described it, vulgar and atrocious. It's an expletive-laden tirade against the military leadership, namely the Russian defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, Valery Gerasimov, the army chief of staff, basically, cursing them out, ranting, saying, we only have 70%, we're lacking 70% of the ammunition we need. Where is our beep, beep, bleep, bleep, bleep ammunition? Pointing fingers directly at them, not naming Putin. But this is really the latest chapter, dramatic sort of escalation in what has been a simmering on and off feud between Prigozhin's private mercenaries and the Russian military leadership. Putin never really being directly drawn into it, always sort of above the fray here, leading everyone to speculate, what's it about? Is it does this play in Putin's favor, having this mercenary group and the military at loggerheads here? Or perhaps it's actually something that potentially could threaten Putin with a rising Prigozhin sort of trying to claim the credit for Bakhmut from himself. But I will say that it's probably not a good scenario for at least the Russian forces and strategy going forward in Bakhmut, because the Russian military has essentially relied on Wagner and its atrocities to be able to hold what it has in Bakhmut so far.
It's interesting. The freedom to speak in such a way suggests friends in high places. We don't know. But given what you said about Putin, very interesting that he hadn't named him personally. Also, this US intel assessment on Russia's fighting ability. What's going on?
And this is fascinating, too. And this goes right to the heart of the degree of which, lots of speculation, of degradation and disarray within Russia's armed forces. And it was Avril Haines, not just any senior American official. This is the director of national intelligence. She is the top cheese, if you will. She was testifying before the Senate Armed Forces Committee yesterday in the U.S. on Thursday. In fact, this is what she said. If Russia does not initiate a mandatory mobilization and secure substantial third-party ammunition supplies beyond existing deliveries from Iran and others, it will be increasingly challenging for them to sustain even modest offensive operations. Let's boil that down. What is she saying? She's saying that Putin does not right now have enough arms, enough weapons, or enough soldiers, basically to be able to launch, forget significant operations, regardless of how the Ukrainian counteroffensive, that expected counteroffensive, whether today or tomorrow and weeks to come, regardless of how that goes, will Putin's forces be up to the battle to launch any significant offenses or modest offenses in 2023? And U.S. intelligence is saying no. What she does think Putin is doing is he is banking on Western attrition. That is attrition or waning Western support for Ukraine. So he's hoping to prolong the war, drag things out as long as he can, hoping Western support will wane. Ukraine will then lose its manpower, its firepower, and its will to fight. And he's playing the clock, essentially. That's how the U.S. intelligence reads it right now. Obviously, the Russians would probably dismiss all of that and deny it all. But it's not quite a rosy assessment for Russia. Just the opposite, showing a Russia in disarray, an army that is discombobulated, on the back foot, with a lot of logistical problems going ahead.
Doug, help us see through the smoke and mirrors of this one as well. So earlier this week, we have these extraordinary pictures above the Kremlin, an object shot out of the sky. Right. Russia saying this is an assassination attempt of Putin. It's drones masterminded by the US, coordinated with Ukraine. Ukraine denies that. Now we have May Day parade across Russia being cancelled. Any link?
Yeah, well, there is a link if you're to believe what a lot of, intelligence observers, a lot of military specialists, a lot of people who are longtime Russia watchers, they believe, regardless of what happened in this drone incident, we cannot definitively say, give any sort of version one way or the other. We don't know the absolute truth. But what we can say is Russia has been and will continue to use this drone incident, this alleged drone attack on the Kremlin, in order to frame Russia as the victim victim on the receiving end of Ukrainian Nazis posing a threat to Russia's greatness and national security, whipping up Russian patriotic fervor and morale, and also using it to cancel May Day events. May Day, the Victory Day, not May Day, the Victory Day, May 9th events are the biggest patriotic date on Russia's calendar. They are a day when you have parades across Russia, the most prominent of which is annually on Red Square.
Which they're rehearsing at the moment.
Showcasing Russia's military might. Now, that's expected to go on, but the reason 21 cities and counting have canceled the Victory Day parades for varying reasons, sometimes not even disclosing the reasons. Some saying security concerns for those involved in the, quote, special military operation. Others suspect it's because they want to conceal the degree of degradation of Russia's armed forces. This is a display of the hardware, of the military might. A lot of that military might has been very, very badly degraded on the battlefield in Ukraine. They don't want anything that might show a crack in that edifice, in that mighty Russian army armor. So you have that, but definitely this drone incident seems to be giving a little more impetus to, or a little more legitimacy, justification to those cancellations of Victory Days at a time when the Russian military, as I've been saying, is on the back foot, and it's not exactly a time when you want to go showcasing your military. And and the final thing is the veterans themselves, at a time when Russia is making undisclosed losses, which haven't been publicly announced by Russia, a lot of people killed on that battlefield. They don't want, veterans might have a public backlash if you were sort of to try to rally them too much on Victory Day.
Doug, clear analysis and a very